o'clock, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Armada Township Planning Commission to order. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could have a roll call, please.
Finley.
Here.
Abercrombie.
Here.
Jabara. Ben.
Here.
Arnold.
Here.
Carrick.
Here.
Murray.
Here.
And Laura.
And of course, we welcome Steve here is replacing Norm as our new planning commission, so be kind, it's his first meeting, so we're
Yes.
breaking him in.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, this does not seem to be as loud as usual. Okay, that look better? Okay. Next, we have to approve or amend the agenda. There is a strikeout through the special land use public hearing. We will be having that hearing tonight, and then we will table it till next meeting. We did have the public notice go out in the paper, but not to the neighbors. So we'll leave the meeting, the public hearing open this evening. We won't make a decision until our next meeting. So that is still on the agenda.
Sir, we were not notified.
Correct. That's why we will be having but we'll have a public hearing this evening because it was in the paper, and we want to hear from the people that are here. The notices will be going out to the neighbors within 300 feet. And then we will have another public hearing next month at our regular meeting before we make any decision. So we want to make sure that everyone did have an opportunity to either speak or send a letter or whatever the case may be. So you will all be getting notices, correct?
Within 300 feet.
We're farther than 300 feet, but we will go.
I know, it really isn't that far out here, but,
It's been turned down before, years ago,
okay.
same place.
We do have a public hearing, so I will open the floor up to you at that point, okay? Okay, that's what the public hearing is for us to gather information, facts and things so that we can, base our decision. But just as a heads up, there will not be a decision tonight. We will have another public hearing next month, okay?
What paper?
It's in the paper is the
The
record.
record.
This-
How many people get
the
the
pub-
letters? It's not like the Armada Times. Very few people get the record. I do.
Right,
But we are required to put it in the township's paper of record, which is the record. So that's the paper I have to publish in.
That's
Right.
why people should be notified.
and that's what, when it goes out to the neighbors, typically the neighbors talk, and so that's why we do also have that, the dual system.
To take up your time, right?
No, we are having a public hearing, so we do want to hear from you tonight. You're welcome to come back next month as well, but there is a public hearing tonight. So, any amendments to the agenda?
I think you already made amendments, so I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Okay, all in favor say, we need a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Randy, okay, Beth, Randy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from our regular meeting, which was November 2nd.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from November 2nd as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is that Joe?
It is.
Okay, Sarah, Joe. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye. Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I was not here.
Okay. Okay. Excuse me. Next, we have two public comments. We have a public comments at the beginning of the meeting now and one at the end. If it's regarding the Boo Boo's Boneyard or the text amendments to our zoning ordinance, we have a public hearing which will open up to everybody. This would be anything other than if you have any public comments. So, are there any public comments this time? Yes.
I have a list here.
Is that regarding Boo Boo's? Is that regarding the Boo Boo's Boneyard? Could just hold that, we're gonna open the public hearing after this this is just general public, any questions or, yes?
I think we may have misunderstood regarding Boo Boo's Boneyard. The public hearing was rescheduled for January 4th at 7 o'clock.
There's going to be there's gonna be one tonight, and then, and another one in January. Because the notice went into the paper, it's our legal paper of record, so we have to have a public hearing because it did go into the paper. But it didn't go out to the neighbors within 300 feet.
Right.
So we will be having another public hearing next month for anyone that may not have gotten that notice.
Right, that part we understand. I just didn't know that public comment was going to be accepted this evening.
Okay, does it, when our planner has something to add?
I just need public comment at both, but no action tonight.
Right.
That's the
Yes, we will be taking public comment to get information. We will not be making a decision until we have the next public hearing after all the notices have gone out. And we,
Public comment.
in the next, yes, you're free to speak tonight and next month.
Okay,
So,
understood. Thank you.
okay. Any other public comments? Okay, let's move on to our first item. We have 2 public hearings tonight. The first one is on a special land use for Boo Boo's Boneyard. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. The public hearing is the opportunity for the planning commission to gather, facts and information for us to make our decision. This particular case, we will be having a public hearing and no decision tonight. We will be having another public hearing at our next meeting in January. There are just a few basic rules, just so we can have an orderly meeting with the public hearing. The first one is that I am chairing the meeting, so please be acknowledged by myself. Direct all comments to me and any questions, and then if we have to redirect. So just be acknowledged. Begin by, the podium has a microphone, so we can get your name and address as part of the public record. Give us your comments and questions, and if it's a question, we'll try, and if we can answer it, we'll answer it. Otherwise, we may have to, get you more information. And then just to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak, if you can limit it to like 5 minutes, that would be appreciated. And once again, thank you. So it is now 7:10, and I would like a motion to open the public hearing for Boo Boo's Boneyard at 21500 Boardman Road.
I'll second that.
Okay, DJ and Steve, all in favor to open the public hearing at 7:10, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so typically what we do in the public hearing is we like to have the applicant come up and explain what they're planning on doing. Is applicant here this evening? Okay, and then we'll have our planner go through her review, and that may answer a lot of the public's questions, and then open up to public questions and comments, and like I said, just, wait to be acknowledged so we can have an orderly meeting. So, I'm assuming Sabrina and Kate, partner, okay. If you'd like to just come up to the podium and kind of explain, what you have here, and then, we'll get into questions, and you do have a copy of the planner's review as well?
We do, yes,
Okay,
thank
thank
you. I'm Kate Oboleski. This is Sabrina Terenzi.
Thank you.
We own and operate Boo Boo's Boneyard at 21500 Boardman Road. We're requesting special land use because it's necessary, but also to make sure that we're in compliance with the ordinances that exist in the township moving forward. I don't understand. Oh. We own. I don't understand.
She doesn't get a lot of things.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God, help.
Okay.
I'm so embarrassed. We weren't exactly prepared to speak this evening. Again, we didn't know that public comments would be taken or that we would have to present this information to the public at this time. So if you have any specific questions that might help the public,
Well, probably,
to get
uh,
clarification on during this time,
yeah.
that might help us better explain.
okay. Well, sometimes the best thing is to have our planner go through her review, because that'll explain what's required from the ordinance, and that kind of, most people don't know everything that's in the ordinance, so that's really good overview for everybody to know
Right.
what's required and,
Yeah.
what's involved and things like
I
that.
apologize, we're better with dogs than we are with people, so public speaking is very
Yeah,
nerve-wracking.
I mean, don't be nervous. This is just all your neighbors and friends, and
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, we saw a need in the area for a kennel. We do have a lot of clients in Armada Township who have dogs. And we've been doing this, since
2008.
2008? No, 2013,
Well,
in Armada
yeah,
Township.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Laura, were you prepared to give your review on what's required for this special land use?
Certainly, thank you. Okay, the applicant, I think if you'd like to have a seat, I think you're probably, if you're more
Oh,
comfortable
yeah,
sitting.
I'm so sorry.
No, please do, if you're more
It's
comfortable.
more relaxing.
Okay. All right, the subject property is zoned the AG Agricultural Preservation District, where dog kennels, the raising of fur-bearing animals, is permitted, provided that a special land use is granted. And there are some additional use standards in the ordinance, which we start outlining on page 3 of our report. So, in addition to the 8 special land use standards that the township has to evaluate any special land use in the township, there are these 12 use standards that apply specifically to kennels. And the subject property does comply with a number of these. So for instance, one of those standards is that to have a kennel, the property has to be at least 10 acres in size. And this property is just 10.18 acres. So they do comply with that standard, for instance. There are some standards, however, that they do not comply with. For instance, the property must have a lot width, the frontage on a road, of 275 feet. And this property is just shy of that. Or I'm sorry, is it
It's 300.
300?
Right.
300, and they're 275 feet. So they're 15 feet shy of having that road frontage that's necessary for a kennel. So there's a couple of those setback dimensional standards that can't be met based on their current configuration of their parcel or where the proposed barn or the existing barn is located where they would house the animals. So because of that, there are 3-dimensional variances that would be required for this use. And we've outlined them in the report, but basically what that means is that any special land use approval would be contingent on the applicant seeking and getting approval for those 3-dimensional variances. So that is one item that the special land use could be contingent upon moving forward, but the applicant would still need to secure those variances and receive approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals. There's also standards regarding soundproofing of the barn facility that would need to be addressed, hours of operation, the number of parking spaces, and those are items for the Planning Commission's consideration and something that probably the applicant could present some information on this evening, their plans for that. Hours of operation during the week, the number of dogs, I think they listed at 20, if that number would be lowered. The soundproofing of the facilities, the hours of operation for the outdoor areas. That might help clarify some items this evening.
Okay.
But at this point, because the public hearing needs to be extended, tonight is a good opportunity to hear from the community on what your concerns are and if the applicant can do anything to address those concerns when they come back at a meeting next year.
Okay, so basically, even if this were next month and we had gone through all this, they still need variances from the ZBA for
Yeah.
those 3-dimensional before they could even in other words, the planning commission cannot approve it without those
Right,
variances.
and it's a 25-foot difference, not 15.
Oh, 25.
There's 25-foot variance on the width, and then there's setbacks for the building.
Dog runs.
This is 100 feet from any property line, and that does not comply. Is the building soundproofed right now?
It is, it's fully insulated.
Okay.
The siding is done outside and inside the same, like the metal siding.
Okay. Let's see, some of the other concerns.
Yes, there's actually an attic, and that's also insulated up above, but there are fans, and, I put in, like, just extra, like, a new heater with like a vent, like better ventilation and
Mhm.
stuff. So all that was updated just now when I went in, changed the lights.
Filtered out too,
I'm
as
sorry?
well? Filtered as well, or
I
not?
have a air purifier.
Purifier?
Yep.
Okay.
Some of the language in the ordinance, states kennel runs. We don't actually have kennel runs, so I don't know if in the plan that we submit to you, if we need to be more specific about how the barn is set up, including the, outside play area for the dogs. Because there are things in the ordinance, stating that, like parking spaces, for example, are dictated by the number of kennel runs that exist. But if we don't have kennel runs, how do we make adjustments, for that parking space requirement?
So you have that large outdoor fenced area is a play area.
Yes, we're a highly social environment,
Right.
so we aren't putting the dogs in cages and allowing them to sit there all day long. The cages are available for feeding time and for rest time, but, they're socializing for a majority of the time that they're within.
So the majority of the time, they would be outdoors.
Yeah, well, or
Yeah.
indoors depending on the weather.
Okay, so there's a play area inside the barn that's
Yes.
not a,
And we have a cemented floor with a large drain, which we weren't able to show you as of yet. This is a new process for us, so the requirements as far as what the plan, needs to be for an already existing establishment is, we're still working through that.
okay, so that's probably a question for the planner. And this is based on kennel runs, like the typical kennels where they have access to their little kennel runs on the outside. I mean, in this case, you have a play area. I mean, it would be probably considered somewhat of the same type of thing as an outdoor area, like a kennel run, but,
Right, it's just a shared space.
Right.
This is them having individual runs.
And also, they're not, when you think of a kennel, we're not your typical kennel as far as like just letting them, like she said, go in and out and like a small 10 by 10 square inside and outside. So when they're out and they're socializing, they obviously have to be monitored, so they are always with a person out there when they're in the
One
play.
of us.
Yeah, when they're in the play area.
Is that a controlled environment?
Absolutely.
And how do you control it?
As far as the,
By underground fencing?
oh no, it's fenced.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
farm
I'm
fencing.
sorry.
Yeah.
We
I
thought
thought you meant mental, like.
Oh, no, no, no.
Training wise, like, that's a whole
No.
nother, I don't know if we have time to get into the behavior and training, but
No,
yeah.
not at all.
But it is because I hold myself to a higher standard with my training and everything, so, it's not a free-for-all.
Right,
It's very much a
okay.
controlled environment as far as the dogs playing, proper social skills. I do, take on special cases where, a lot of other dogs can't go to certain kennels. So I do, customize very much everything to the space and to accommodate clients and help out, anybody that.
Dogs with behavioral issues,
Gotcha.
of that nature.
Yep, so it's important that the other dogs are behaving, especially taking, those dogs in, so everything's cohesive.
okay, so looks like you say you have room for 20 animals, basically. The ordinance does require 100 square feet for each animal. Now you've got 1,200 square foot of barn, and then the fenced-in area, the play area, would that be taken into account as well? It's a combination of the interior and the outdoor space is what the ordinance looks like?
Yeah, I think so, although that's not dimensioned, but it's about,
It says at least 100 square feet for each animal, including the area devoted to interior kennel space and runs. So it sounds like it would be a combination. How big is the play space?
It's pretty massive.
It looks pretty big on, yeah.
It's, easily, I think, 300 long, and then probably close to, I'd say like 150 wide, if not, so the barn it's about 100 wide, because it's a little outside
Yeah.
the barn width, which is 40 by 30.
And we can create a plan to scale if we need to.
Right.
So that we have those dimensions. Again, we just weren't
Right. Okay.
prepared for this particular meeting.
Does the commission have any more questions for the applicant before I open up to the public? No? Okay. All right, well, just a reminder, we want to have an orderly meeting, so, address the chair, myself. And if you could come up to the podium, it'd be easier for us to hear you, and just state your name and address, and whatever information or questions or anything you'd like to share with us, that would be great.
My name is Linda Diener, Diener. My address is 22750 Boardman Road, and of course, Armada. Okay. Is there anything more you need from me?
No.
Okay. My first would be to you people. What if they sell dogs? Does that change the zoning ordinances? And did you ever ask them? Because it's not in the paperwork.
Okay. Is that anything, do you want to just kind of address?
Sell dogs.
We do
No,
not sell
absolutely not.
dogs.
Okay. That was an easy one.
Okay, I've got a big list, but I'll read them, and if you want me to stop so you can ask or something.
Well, something simple like that, it's easy to me to direct the question to the applicant, and they can answer it. That'd be probably simpler.
No proposed water main is shown on the plan. No proposed sanitary sewer is shown on the plan. No indication of any storm system on site. Provide location where existing storm runoff drains on site. Disappointed that letters weren't sent out, keeps owners in the dark. And then when you look them up on the internet, it says sign business, that they make signs. Is that zoned for that? Are they putting up a sign saying dog kennel? It would lower our house values. And who are they on application? Where is Boo Boo Boneyard located? And it didn't pass before, why now? And the road frontage, you already mentioned, isn't correct. The play area, I'm not sure that those dimensions are correct, but we could still hear the dog outside playing, barking, and that would be disturbing, and you'll hear from other neighbors the same thing. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Let's see. Well, probably any of these that we want to address at the time. We did, obviously, the notice we've addressed, that is going out to the neighbors.
Can I just clarify that we used to be located at 22156 Boardman Road. We have relocated, as of March of this year, to the new address at 21500 Boardman Road.
Okay, so you were at two. I'm sorry, two.
We were at 22156 Boardman Road previously,
Okay.
which,
How long have you been at this address here?
since March.
Oh, since March, okay. Okay, and then I think you addressed the waste, as far as the waste, you were taking care of that through just normal,
It's standard
Si-
procedure for most kennels to scoop it, bag it, and throw it away.
right. And as far as the water usage for cleaning and stuff, I'm sure you have an adequate well on the property that you're
Yeah,
using for.
and I just put in, a whole separate, softener, everything in the barn itself, so it's all on its own, like, system, not coming from the house or anything.
As far as far as the drainage, is that something, will this get into engineering where they'll have to address?
And they did provide.
Oh, that's right,
review.
we do have the,
Any urine or feces is being, pushed into a drain. They're going to the restroom outside on the grass in the play area. If they have accidents inside, it's cleaned up with a mop, or we put it in a bag and throw it in the trash.
okay,
We do have a 1,250-gallon septic tank that's on the property. I have been in touch with the Macomb County Health Department, per the, suggestion, to find out if that's adequate regarding waste, but again, waste isn't being put into the septic system, so I don't
Right.
foresee that being an issue.
okay. Yeah, that brought up the issue. We do have a review from Spalding D. Decker. We could read that into the, go ahead and do that for, this is regarding Boo Boo's Boneyard. Spalding D. Decker is the engineering professional for the township. And they state that they've reviewed the application prepared by Sabrina and Kate. They received in their office November 15th. And they offer the following comments, basically observations, that it's located on the 10.1 acres, occupied by the house, barns, and parking spaces, and they're reviewing this for an operation of a dog daycare and boarding kennel with the 1,200 square feet. They're saying they wanted to confirm that there's at least 100 square feet for each animal devoted to the kennel and runs, and that they have the soundproofing, and that it's not located closer than 200 feet to any lot line. And any soundproof building should be 100 feet from any property line. They mentioned the water main, just saying that there is nothing proposed showing a water main to this area. They mentioned that the Armada Township Fire Department should be consulted, and we do have a review from them as well. They talk about the sanitary sewer, that there's no sanitary sewer proposed. And they talk about storm drainage. Location of all site utilities shall be shown in the application. There is no indication of any storm system on site. Provide the location where the existing stormwater runoff drains on site. No animal waste will be allowed to the drain into the storm drain. And then they mentioned paving. The existing site is accessed by 2 gravel driveways off of Boardman Road with 3 parking spaces. No new paving is proposed under the project. And then permits required. At this time, there's not enough information provided to accurately know what permits will be required. Based on the improvement shown, no permits will be required. Additional permits may be required once a full site plan is submitted. Please be aware there additional comments may arise with the submittal of the requested revisions and/or additional information. They recommend that the above comments be addressed to the satisfaction of the township planner and planning commission prior to any approval, and that these comments are not, construed as a approval. The Armada Township Fire Department regarding the daycare says, I have reviewed application regarding proposed dog daycare and kennel business. If this is to be an approved business use, then requirements for building being used for public business would require fire extinguishers, emergency lighting, illuminated exit signage, and proper egress as required by the 2018 International Fire Code. Additionally, the fire department access would have to meet Chapter 5, Section 503 of the Fire Code. Generally, this requires minimum 20-foot width and 13-foot 6 height clearance. Road surface would be that to support weight of fire apparatus during all weather conditions. Based on satellite imagery and description of barn used for business, there does not appear to be any major obstacles to ensure that equipment's requirements are met. A sketch scale floor plan and site plan would be required to notate and confirm the 2018 fire code requirements. So there are some requirements as far as extinguishers and lighting and things that you do have a copy of the fire report as well. Okay.
I do have a question, just as a learning process for me, do those requirements by the fire department apply for small business in general? And the reason I ask is because there are no humans myself and Sabrina accessing the barn. When our clients drop off, they don't go into the barn. So would those exit signs and such still be required if it were just us? And that would be fine if that's the
Right.
case. I just, like I said, I'm learning how this.
Yeah, the requirements are always stricter when you allow a public in the building.
And he specifically says being used for public business. So I would read that to mean
He's,
having public in the building.
I think he's assuming that there's gonna be clients in the building.
Which there
One-
are not. They
Right.
don't
One
let
thing
you
that I would
access the barn.
question, and it's something for the fire marshal to address, even if there's no public allowed in the building other than, you know, the two of you and the animals, one reason to have the fire marshal inspect everything and want things, if anything were to happen in that barn, he also is responsible for the safety of his team, you know, going in to extinguish and do whatever they need to do
Okay,
to save the building and the animals and whatever, so,
thank you.
I'm
That
gonna-
provides a different perspective, yeah.
right, and that's just a guess on my part, but I know that they do need that for any other business and stuff, so it might be, it's just an assumption, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but,
It's not
I
hard to
thi-
put up an exit sign.
right.
I
No,
was just
I-
curious.
I think that would-
That would change.
Right,
you
I
know,
think,
if
I
public
think,
is
yeah,
not
when
entering the building.
when you have the floor plans, and that would be a question that you could address with the fire marshal at that time, so.
Fair enough.
Your
Yeah.
service door, I'm sorry, service door to man door walk in, is it open to the inside or the outside?
The one opens to the inside, the doors on the back of the barn, they're a double door, they open out. And then we have the two garage doors on the front of the barn that open, they roll up.
The one door may need to be switched to the outside.
Well, they have an emergency egress, it depends on the location. I do
Okay.
fire,
On the side of the barn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
he didn't specify the use, where it fit in the NFPA code. So the use of the building is really specific to see what actually applies. He probably didn't have enough information to specify that because there was no drawing, right? So when you communicate with him more, he'll be able to give you more detail about what's required. Work with the fire codes all over the state of Michigan, so.
Right.
And I apologize, do we contact them separately from, or outside of these meetings to talk about their suggestions? Or is that something we do during public comment or during these meetings?
The fire department,
Right, or the
I can
engineer?
have him contact you and then you can
Okay.
set up a time.
And you can, and provide a documentation for this meeting, provide the drawing,
Right,
but yeah, he can talk to you depending on his time.
okay.
okay, public comment, please come on up.
I'm Gary Diener, Linda's wife,
Okay.
and I just have three questions. Are you gonna put a sign out in front of your house? And if so, the property values are, no matter what, they're gonna go down. Nobody wants to move out of the country and have it, you know, I've been out here now almost 46 years, next month. And I didn't move out here for dog barking. And, I don't think, they should be alone somewhere out in 40 acres by themselves where they wouldn't have to bother us neighbors with coming here again tonight. It's been turned down before, and I asked the board to look into why it was turned down before, and we have to come back again and why it should be passed now. And the soundproof doesn't work all day when they're outside in the kennels. They'll be barking. You can't soundproof the air, okay, outside. And,
I don't mean to interrupt, but are you aware that we are already an existing business?
yes, I know you.
Okay, so,
But we haven't been turned down before, this is the first time we've
You've
ever.
got boarding and everything on the back of your
P-
fence.
p- Please, if you could
I know
bring the
you've got
comments to the board,
boarding.
please. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I should talk to you,
Okay.
sir. I'm sorry. You interrupted me, okay?
Okay.
So, I would like an answer if they're gonna
well, I think I can answer,
put a
this-
sign in the front of their house, which is like come move here and listen to the dogs bark all day. It's not soundproof outside, and there's no way of stopping that. And, so I would like to know why it was turned on before, and it should be passed now, because it's maybe new neighbors. I've been there a long time, most of the neighbors have. And, I just want you to look into why it was turned on before, and, if they're gonna have a sign up, and there's no soundproofing outside, so you can heat the barn, whatever, but they're gonna be outside all day long. And that's all I've got to say, and I don't think too many of you people would wanna have a dog kennel next to your house. Dog noise goes far. We have one way out back, half mile, and I can hear it. Barks all the time. Can you imagine 20 dogs? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Gary. Laura,
Property values.
Laura, as far as the sign goes, this type of business would be allowed one yard sign, would it not?
I believe so, but no sign was
What's
proposed
now
as part of
proposed?
this
Okay.
special land use.
But I don't know if you're proposing a sign, but the public should know if you're allowed to have one, just because, you could change your mind. And
Because we are small, we are more of a mom and pop business. We'd like to stay that way. We don't intend to grow. We advertise by word of mouth. There's no reason for us to put up a sign.
Okay, thank you. Are there other public input?
Yes, I would like her to read her first ordinance again, please.
I'm sorry, could we have
Your
your,
name? Oh, my name is Patricia Fonz. I live at 21515 Boardman Road and have since 1992.
okay, thank you, Patricia. I'm sorry, and you,
I would like her to read the first ordinance again.
the first requirement?
Yes, the ordinance that she was reading, the ordinances that she was reading off, something
Okay.
about fur-bearing mammals.
Well, the first requirement is the minimum site size, 10 acres, which they do meet, with a minimum width of not less than 300 feet for a commercial boarding kennel. And there shall be at least 2 acres of land with a minimum width of 300 feet for a private kennel. This is not going to be a private, so they need
No, it was about
300 feet.
producing fur-bearing mammals.
That is the section of our ordinance 1631 is the raising of fur-bearing animals, including kennels, and and it has 12 standards. And this is the only area that kennels fall in under our
Okay,
ordinance.
and according to their website, they are not breeding animals. They are just daycare and
Daycare,
and boarding.
correct.
And
That-
they said they've been in operation since 2008 without a dog kennel license.
2018, correct.
8 or 18?
2013.
13?
Okay,
sorry.
now they gave a different date.
Well, we misspoke earlier.
Okay. I'm sorry.
2008 was in a different city.
Okay. Well, you've been on Boardman Road and you don't have a valid dog
We
license.
can't get a dog license until we get special land use approval. If you call the animal.
Oh,
control-
I've been all with them.
Please direct up, okay.
I've been all with them. Fur-bearing mammals, they're not producing. They're just boarding, so that they're already violating one of the ordinances right there.
No, this ordinance is just, this is the ordinance that covers it. It is fur-bearing animals and it's kennels. We don't have an ordinance for every specific thing. This one is just kind of a cover-all for if you're raising animals or you're running a kennel. There's just kind of covers both of those items, so. The fur-bearing part, raising doesn't have anything to do with what they're doing. They're just falling under the kennel portion of this ordinance.
Okay, and why are they still allowed to operate when this has not been solved and they haven't gotten the permission yet?
That would be a code enforcement thing. They're coming here to bring this into compliance. I don't know the background, so that's an enforcement thing. That's not what the planning commission does. This is the first time the planning commission is seeing this.
Well, I've been talking to you guys since September.
This is the first time I've seen this, so it's the first time it's been to the planning commission.
Okay, and then my other question is I do want a sign in front of their house because the people are creeping down the road.
And I believe that they would be allowed to have a sign, so, but it's up to them how they, if they want to have a sign or not.
I mean, they don't know where they're turning in my driveway and they're backing out. I don't know who they are. I don't know if they're stalking my grandchildren. I don't know what they're doing.
That was the question, how do you know that they're coming to our house?
Because we watch the cars pull into the driveway. You live across the street from me.
I see, okay.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Any other public comments or questions? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where is the location of this going on right now?
This, the location is 21500 Boardman Road.
And where is it?
It is east of Coon Creek on the south side. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parcels east of Coon Creek Road.
And you're wanting, but now where are you wanting to move it? That's what I'm.
No. This is where it is now. It's it. Excuse me. So to the applicants.
I think you donated some stuff to the business at one point.
When you were down the road,
Yeah, that's interesting.
but I thought you were also legal.
The parcel sits quite a bit back from the road with the barn, correct? That's maybe why,
It's much more private now than it was previously.
right. It looks like it's several hundred feet back from the actual road. Your house does sit back the farthest of any of the house of your immediate neighbors, and the barn's a little bit farther back from that, but. Okay. Are there any other public comments? And let's say we are going to leave this public hearing open to our next meeting. Notices will be going out, and we will have another public hearing the first Wednesday of January is our next, our meetings are always the first Wednesday of the month.
I have one question.
Yes, Linda?
It seemed like you guys used to have your meetings on Tuesdays, didn't you?
No, it's been Wednesdays forever, and I've been here forever.
Question regarding the final plan that we submit.
I'm sorry, because I didn't hear you.
The final plan that we submit, does that need to be drafted by a professional? Or is that something that can be sketched and done by us or someone who's?
Well, our site plan requirements do require that it's signed by a professional, correct?
Yes, and for the variances as well,
Oh, yeah.
they would need to be.
Thank you.
So the variances are not decided at the planning commission. They go to the zoning board of appeals, which is a 5-member body, which looks at set of standards as to why you need a variance from our ordinance in order to do what you want to do. And it's usually based on some type of practical difficulty or things of that nature. So that's another section in the book. Okay, if there's no more public comment, would a motion be in order to just resume this or just leave it to the next meeting? Table. Motion to table the public hearing until our meeting in January.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, that was Randy and Joe. Where's my agenda? Here we go. So we are tabling this public hearing until January. I don't have the date right in front of me, but it is the 4th, to our meeting on January 4th. Any discussion on that motion? I got Randy and Joe.
I just want to quickly go over the things that were in question, because this is extended for 2 meetings, and we don't want to forget between the public hearing then and now. So the things that were in question is, well, first on my list is the soundproofing, the barking concern, maybe sound study, decibels, with some type of bushes or trees, something to reduce that, I don't know, something to resolve that concern. The septic versus the storm drainage plan, you indicated that you bag and throw away, so maybe identify that plan, so we could have clarity, so we could understand to vote on it. You understand what the fire chief, his concerns and questions. I also want to mention, he's gonna want you to plow for emergency access and make sure your doors are available, just in case they have to get in. And then the sign was brought up by two public members. One person wanted a sign, one person didn't. So I just wanted to review the questions, so when we get back on January 4th, we know what was mentioned this time, and we'll be open to whatever's mentioned next time too.
I did want to just clarify regarding the soundproofing, concerns with the barking outside. When we mentioned a controlled environment earlier, we do, work with the dogs even when they're outside, so that, again, it's not a free-for-all.
You can put that all in your plan, put it in writing and then, because right now we're just hearing the public,
Okay.
and then what we have to look at, to vote on, will be later.
Okay.
I have
Okay.
one question,
Yes.
which probably would help them. Are your doors locked, like somebody could come on your property?
Always locked.
Always.
I
We have
have
a
keys in my pocket.
Security
The whole-
plan?
The whole property is under surveillance. I can see the dogs right now if I want to, and I'd be happy to show even daytime videos and photos. You can look on Facebook. That is literally, I have videos of me showing the whole property with all the dogs that I take care of, and you hear 5 other dogs in the distance barking, that are, none of which are from the boneyard. So,
So if there was a fire, the dogs would be locked in,
No.
and they couldn't
We
actually
have,
out.
safety procedures in place if that were to happen,
How would you know if you don't know there's a fire?
because we live on the property,
Well,
and
yeah.
if
I
we're
think
not
we're-
at the
we're
property,
ready,
we
GJ.
are able to
Okay.
monitor the
Thank you.
property.
Do we
We
wanna-
have
Okay.
people who are able to, help during that
Do
time.
you hear
Okay.
fire alarms and
Yes.
things like
Okay,
Those are
can,
things that we have to address with the
yeah,
fire
let's-
department.
okay, you did address a lot of this in your letter of intent about the security system in the keyed entry doors. But I did hear, so is someone on property all the time? Or is someone home at all?
Yes, because of this type of business that we run, we rarely go anywhere.
Right, I mean, someone's
Someone
pretty much
else-
out, yeah, it's not something where you lock the animals up and leave.
Family dinner type thing, and I am checking in,
And
and
you-
I have my motion.
24 hours.
Right.
Somebody's always gonna be there.
No,
There's
but
on I just said on occasion, if there's like a family dinner and everybody steps away, but I have everything connected to alert me if there is any outside motion, if there's any motion even within the kennel, if the dog gets up and was laying down, I have it set to tell me anything I need to know.
So when you mention your hours, 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., the dogs do stay overnight, though? You do board overnight? Okay. Okay, but that's just the time that you take
That's-
dogs in and out, receive, and,
Basically gives clients the window to pick up or drop off.
Okay.
Thing. So I have a lot of clients that are also farther away, so by the time they get out of work, I give them a little cushion to get to me and or have time to get to work in the morning.
Right.
it's
So
our-
there wouldn't be clients there unless it was an emergency.
Correct.
the hours are different for daycare and
Yep.
boarding, but,
And weekends are
to,
different.
this gentleman's point regarding surveillance and, 24/7 monitoring, a majority of the commercial kennels that exist, which we are trying not to operate like, but the ones that do exist, they leave the facility at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and they don't return until the next morning at 6 or 7.
Right.
So it is standard practice to operate that way. What we have going for us is that we're able to offer this service at our residential property, so that we are able to monitor them more closely than they would be monitored at a commercial facility.
Okay, thank you.
Like you say, you did
so-
residential.
Okay, so are there any other more public, if you make public comments, we still have open if you want to come up to the podium and,
I was just gonna say, even if there's not a sign up there, when you look, most people nowadays look on the internet to find their services. So
There's no address.
the first
This
thing,
is Armada Township.
the first thing that they're going to, when they type in
To the public in that way.
this kind of service, is gonna show the address, where they're at,
I guess we can assume that none of these people are your customers.
They'll be here,
They'll be here
next
on
time.
the, they'll be here next meeting.
But just to help us clarify that we operate very differently than the average kennel. We don't even like calling ourselves a kennel. It's very customized service. We have relationships with our clients and their dogs. Again, they'll be able to speak to that when they come before your next, commission meeting.
And it is unfortunate that you've had negative experiences, and I have to say that there are a lot of, owners that aren't educated and don't properly care for their dogs, and it affects somebody like you. I personally was mauled by a Doberman when I was 5 years old, and people can't believe I do, but the bigger picture for Boo Boo's Boneyard is to raise awareness about things like that, help educate people. I go out of my way and do whatever I can, not only for my clients, but rescues, shelters, and try to make it where animals are properly cared for, especially dogs. And you can ask, when they come next month, you can ask any of my clients. I spend hours explaining to them or helping them even with somebody that just had a question that knows I specialize in it. Like, it's above and beyond what I think when people are saying this kennel, there's really a disconnect there to what we believe in.
Okay, I think we've heard.
You guys got a cyclone fence that goes all the way around, buried 3 foot in the ground.
It's all farm fencing.
I know the area, but is there a cyclone fence that goes all the way
No.
around the area?
There's no
Because I've had dogs dig right under these cyclone fences. I mean, and before you even know it, they're gone, and they're harassing the neighbors down the road.
Any type, and that's where we specialize, because there are places that have rejected dogs like that because they either climb over, not even jump, but like can literally climb, right? They'll climb fencing, they'll dig under fencing, but the key is creating boundaries within the fencing, and that's where I, as a trainer.
I brought my dog down to you today.
Yep.
Are you gonna have that dog trained and it's not gonna dig underneath that fence
We
It
in
would-
2 hours?
It would be on a long tether if we know that you write that on the application, that that's been an issue.
Now,
And-
everybody tells you that, Suze.
No, but I do, any new dog just definitely gets strictly monitored to start, and then we make adjustments off of that. It's not just like send them outside and hope for the best. They are on a slip lead to start. I see as I give them a little more room where they're gonna go, what they're gonna do, what their manners are like, their boundaries, if they have any, and work with them in that situation. So, yes, I have had dogs like that.
I used to have a beagle that was the friendliest dog you ever wanted to know. He would turn his back on, he'd dig right underneath the fence, he'd be out hunting
A
himself.
hound.
Okay.
A hound.
So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
even the friendliest dogs,
Oh, it doesn't matter.
they're gone in a heartbeat.
And the thing, as soon as they get out of that boundary, instinct kicks in, and it's a whole different story. So it's survival mode at that point. Their mind switches, literally. It's the
I've
behavior.
trained
Okay.
dogs most of my life, all alone.
Okay,
But I'm saying,
Yeah.
as soon as
Very
they're
good.
gone, they're out of there.
It happens.
Both dogs will keep on going since they don't know the area.
Yeah.
good comments. It's good to see that, we can see what kind of operation that they are doing here. If there's no more comments, then we will have a motion to table this to our January 4th meeting.
I think you already did that.
You did that? Okay, we have a motion on the table. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, so we're tabling this at 7:56. Okay, so next we are going to open a public hearing on text amendments to our zoning ordinance. We have 4 of them. One is shipping containers, small-scale entertainment, size limitations on attached garages, and zoning district table of permitted uses. And so the zoning ordinance is what we deal with all the time, to regulate the kennels. And now we're looking at some amendments on those 4 items. What we do is we have a public hearing to bring in information, and then we make a decision, we make a recommendation to the township board, who has the final say on these ordinances. In fact, the shipping containers has been here once before, and the commission wanted to be a little stricter, so it came back to us, so it's before us again. So it is now still 7:57. I'd like to have a motion to open the public hearing on our text amendments to the zoning ordinance.
So moved.
It's
Support.
Beth and Sarah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is open. Once again, what we'll do is we'll have the planner go through her review, so I'm sure a lot of you aren't following everything that we've been up to. So we can go through these 4 text amendments, and then we will open this up to any public questions or comments. Are you ready, Laura? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, the first text amendment tonight is to accessory buildings to one-family residential uses. This would permit shipping containers to be used as an accessory building, provided that 4 requirements are met. This includes that they would be calculated alongside the other accessory buildings and with the square footages on the property as a whole, that the shipping containers could not be used for advertising and cannot include signage and/or writing, that the exterior must be painted a uniform natural earth tone, and that they shall be placed on a base of crushed concrete or stone or similar material that's acceptable to the building inspector. And then there's also 2 definitions added for shipping containers and truck trailers to section, or Article 20, construction of language and definitions.
Thank you. So the first ordinance is regarding shipping containers. Does anyone have any comments regarding the shipping?
Can I interrupt real quick, because a lot of people are leaving?
Sure.
Were there 2 kennels on Boardman Road being discussed today?
No, there's just the one.
Just boo-boos?
Just boo-boos, correct.
Okay.
And thanks again for joining us. So any comments on the shipping container ordinance? I'm not seeing any. We've been over this several times. So everybody's pretty comfortable with the language now? I mean, other than Randy, I mean. Okay, so at this point, we just move on. Do we have to, you don't have to,
No, we
just do them as a whole? Okay.
Well, yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the small-scale entertainment. I see consensus on that, so so small-scale entertainment, okay, I'll kick that back to you, Laura.
Thank you. This would be a modification to Article 8, which is the Agricultural Preservation District, to note under the kind of the site standards, the minimum site requirements, that such uses have to be set back a minimum of 100 feet from any property line. And that will specifically speak to small-scale entertainment, which has then been revised to have a maximum capacity of 200 persons as opposed to 1,500 previously.
Okay. Are there any questions on the language in the small-scale entertainment? Anyone have any questions regarding small-scale entertainment? We've scaled this one back quite a bit just to, this is something that's allowed within our agribusiness on farms and things, just so we don't end up with something that looks like a small Freedom Hill or something, Pine Knob, so just kind of tightening up the language a little bit on that. If there's no public comments, we'll just,
Actually,
Joe?
Laura, I want to go back to that, you're going to kill me, but subsection 1, 2, on shipping containers.
Oh, you're going way back.
Yes, yes. Well, I got derailed.
Okay.
You're excluding the truck trailers, I'm assuming, right? Do you see it down in 1.2?
Right.
But
Oh.
shipping,
Only allowed as yeah. They're not permitted,
Are
or
not
not,
permitted.
only for agricultural.
Correct.
okay, right, it does.
Are you good?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem. So the next one is the size limitation on attached garages. We didn't have a standard in the book, so it was kind of wide open. So, Laura, do you want to go over what we've proposed here?
Yeah, so there was no maximum size for attached residential garages, but there are maximums for detached residential garages, so this provides some uniformity to the ordinance, and it stipulates that the maximum size for attached then cannot exceed the first floor area of the dwelling unit, so there's proportionality for residential units.
Everybody good on that? We've been over this one for a little while. So basically, you can't build a garage attached to your house that's larger than the ground floor of your house, just to create some conformity between the house and the garage. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, we're going to move on to zoning district. Laura, did you bring any new copies of this?
I don't have a clean copy of this.
Okay.
The chair had sent me some comments regarding a couple items in the table that need to be cleaned up. So I think just based on that, and since we weren't able to provide a copy with those changes prior to this meeting, to still continue with the public hearing tonight and take any comments, but then to just table moving.
So we're recommending it to the board.
Yeah, until a clean copy can be provided. You know, it's important to note with this table, it's only meant to just clarify and streamline the ordinance. We're not changing any of the uses that are currently in the ordinance, but we just need to make sure that it's 100% correct.
You don't wanna cause
Okay.
a conflict.
Yeah, we don't want any inconsistencies, that's for sure. Yeah, so we have a couple minor items to address in there.
So what this ordinance is instead of digging through the book all over the place in every section, every zoning district to find your uses, it's laid out more in a chart where it tells you if it's a permitted use, a special land use, or not available at all in that zoning district. So it's just something, like I say, nothing is changing. It's just making it easier to find what you're looking for in the zoning book, because right now it's not the easiest document in the world, so.
I do like the table. I would like to see like the residential on the same page.
Okay.
I don't know if that would make a difference. I mean, maybe this is just a rough copy or a rough draft.
Yes, you mean the formatting? I didn't like that it was split on the.
Right, I think it
Oh, I
should be
see.
all on the same page.
Okay.
And then I thought that the agriculture needed to be cleaned up. I think it needed to be all in one section.
Okay.
Right now, we've got farms defined kind of incorrectly, A, E, and F, but we completely forgot about B, which is agribusiness. And there's really no place where it tells you that you can farm in the ag district properly. So there needs to be a section that just says, you know, A, B, E, F, and G, which is allowed in R1 and ag. And it doesn't have it anywhere in here. It would just be easier and then some of them are broken out, like the growing, stripping of sod and the private stable, which are, I think it's not as clear to people when they just see A, E, F, and G. Maybe
Okay.
we should just break those 5 out, which it's farming, nursery, agribusiness, sod, and horses, basically. I mean, does it seem like it would be easier if it was not just saying A, E, F, and G, or if it kind of
This is gonna be posted online or available on paper?
both? It should
Okay.
be part of our zoning
I
ordinance.
was wondering if, for clarification, if we could hyperlink the document to the table to go right back to the ordinance. Is that being done? Because we don't want to have a conflict in the table and then that will really undermine our ordinances. So if it's hyperlinked, it would prevent that.
That's part of what I will do after the ordinances are got into the book. Laura will do that part, get them into the book, and then I will go through and I will do all the hyperlinking and stuff.
So maybe we should make the table then.
Well, the table's gotta be made before I can do the
process.
hyperlinks.
So,
Yes.
so are we
But all
comfortable,
the ordinance
are we
it's
comfortable for in the
book, yeah.
print edition if it just says farms as it's defined by the A, E, F, and G? And it does say section 801, so you would go to that section of the book and look
Okay.
there. Is that okay?
Sounds fine.
Okay, but
long
we
as
do
it's
have to make
clear,
sure that they're
Just concerned.
correct.
Right, yes.
Because they weren't, there's a couple little mistakes in there. The other, I had one here that, there was one in here that we don't even have an ordinance for. Public administration building or assembly hall, I don't see it in any district. And under public quasi, public land use, it doesn't look like it's available anywhere.
Oh, right.
It's just kind of a carryover maybe from something else. It
Somebody
doesn't,
else.
I see that. I thought we did have that under one of them.
it's, there's a weird one that,
Right here.
there's one that's called, on page 98, it's called municipal buildings, government offices, pump stations, service yards, which doesn't appear on this. I think that should be on there instead of this one that doesn't.
Yeah, that one is on there, township municipal buildings and uses, and then the public utility.
Okay, did I just miss that?
No, they're just the last two on there, under public and quasi-public.
Public utility, telephone exchange, township municipal buildings and use, okay. Let me just see what that one said, page 98. Municipal facilities, buildings, governmental offices, governmental uses, public utility offices, exchanges, transformer stations. Okay, sewage, all right. I guess it's just different wording, but, so it is covered, township. Okay.
What's wrong with
But if that's the case, it's allowed in B2 and it's not shown as permitted in B2. So I just think there's a couple of them that don't quite line up with where they're supposed to be.
Okay.
And I apologize, we should have done a deep dive earlier, but I really spent some time with it
Should we,
over the weekend and found these things at the last minute.
That's okay,
Sorry.
appreciate it. We'll double check everything.
Okay, so,
So if it's not marked, we're assuming it's not permitted?
Correct.
Okay.
okay, so there's a few issues. I mean, we know we like this format, we just gotta
Make
clean
sure
it up.
everything's in its spot.
Yeah, so, do you have any comments on the new chart for the zoning districts?
No, I like it. I think it's a
Monica,
lot more
were you here?
user-friendly and.
You're
are
hiding.
we keeping it
Okay.
open then, the public
She's out.
hearing? How are we handling this if we're
Um,
making changes?
We're going to, well, we took the public input, which was not really any. So we'll just close the public hearing and then,
Except for the table?
Except for the,
well,
permitted
we
use.
still have to close the public hearing. So it's 8:11.
Ready?
Seeing no more
A
public comment?
motion to close it?
I do. Hold off, please.
Okay.
Back to the shipping container.
oh my gosh.
Oh,
No,
Joe.
it's done. The
No,
goose is
do we
cooked.
have, I know, I
The
know.
goose is
My
cooked.
question to you,
Overdone.
Laura, I drew a blank there when I was, sorry, guys. Do we have to have like a definition of the ISO?
No,
That's,
you can, that's something you can look up. This exists, right?
yes,
Already
Yes.
yes.
defined.
Yes.
Okay, in the book?
Not our book.
No,
but-
it doesn't need to be though.
No.
All right, that's why I was, just for clarity.
I
Okay.
would like to see, once any amendment is adopted or any new ordinance, I would like the date on the ordinance itself.
In the book.
date it was adopted or the
Absolutely.
date that it was amended. Because I've
Absolutely.
noticed going through,
They're supposed to be.
and they're not.
Right, not all of them are,
and
but,
it needs to be done.
right.
I agree.
Okay, so,
Okay, we're closing the public hearing.
so now it's 8:12 and,
You're not closing the public hearing, you're tabling it, correct?
No, we're
No, we're
closing.
closing the one on on the text amendments.
On the first
You're not
three.
But we're
Bring this one
tabling
back.
the permitted use, right?
No, we held the public hearing, so we can close that. Then we're gonna discuss it under new business, and that's when we're
But
gonna,
I thought you wanted to come back next month with this.
For the table.
For the,
do we?
for the zoning.
No,
map.
we've got the
Okay.
concept, we just have to clean it, we just want to bring a clean copy back. before we,
Okay,
before we
then we
went.
have to go back before
So-
the public
I
then?
No.
made the motion.
It's Maureen, I've got Maureen and Joe to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? All right, so that closes the public hearing on our text amendments. Which brings us to reports and correspondence. And I believe is that the first page? Yes. Well, no, that's the, yeah. Okay. Well, no, we've got this project status report under reports and correspondence, and that's, this is the one from you, Laura?
No, this is from Chris.
For me.
It's, because we do have some reports. What do you have under reports, Chris?
It was just the project status report,
Okay,
and it should be here somewhere.
so that's this one right here from Laura. But-
No, this is,
I read that.
Oh, I'm
this
sorry.
is public.
Thank you.
This is, yeah.
I did the paper
think
I did the paper
originally
shuffle.
had
Here we
from the
go.
Thank you. I know it's here, you got a copy.
I'm on, okay, now
The
I'm on the same
McKenna-
page. Okay, so we have a project status report for December. Community projects, we have the Ackett's Hand Pie Company, their fence, that's on hold since June, pending decision on administrative review procedures, no update. Blake's traffic study, landscaping. Traffic study was reviewed at the April 22 meeting. Chair reported on a Macomb County meeting regarding road funding options at the June 22 meeting. There's no updates. The Armada Center Car Wash, conditional rezoning was approved July 22. Special land use was granted contingent on site plan approval at the September 22 meeting. Site plan was submitted with the special land use. Applicant has completed process to address engineers' recommended changes and has provided direction on what documents to submit for the January 4th meeting.
Which
And
we
we got
today.
tonight, so that, we'll be seeing that next month. Larry's parking lot. Rezoning was approved at September 22 meeting. The site plan was submitted for review on September 22. Planners' finding and recommendations on site plan reviewed November 22 meeting and commission discussed. Larry was not in attendance, and due to a number of open issues, the review was tabled for 90 days to give the applicant time to address them. Are you planning on addressing that later in the meeting, Larry? Sure. Okay, thank you. Henshaw Custom Automotion, they had a pre-planning meeting with the planner on Monday, September 19th. They submitted a request for a setback variance hearing with the ZBA, which was held in November. The variance was granted. Applicant will provide site documentation for our January meeting, so we'll see Henshaw as well in January. Trillium Farm, pre-planning meeting was held November 21. Owner reached out to planning on October 22 to restart project. Owner attended November 22 meeting and was provided with guidance on next steps. She has had a discussion with the fire marshal as of November 17th and is working through the steps he recommended before submitting her site plan. Boo Boo's Boneyard, application for special land use and site plan was submitted November 3rd for review at the December meeting. And we know what the status of that is. We'll be looking at that in January as well. And then we have board project, the second home on property, the seasonal workers clause. Draft language is being considered, but the township attorney does not have a record of a request to review this ordinance, so it's something we gotta straighten out there, right? Administrative review procedures. Planner recommended following existing processes, following Open Meetings Act, and run as a regular meeting with appointed board members. Modify the site plan application to include administrative review option. Planner fee would be 50% of the standard fee based on type of review. A draft application and updated fee schedule are included in our packet tonight. Are there any other reports or?
I just have a question on Ackett's.
Okay.
Pending decision of the administrative review. You've mentioned a couple times at last meetings that it wasn't a good thing for the administrative review to do this. You felt it was convoluted and stuff, so
What-
then it was gonna be passed on back to the township board or a full site plan to the
It
planning
has gone
commission.
back to the township board and is being worked on there.
So then it's not necessarily administrative review because DJ's already stated that he doesn't feel that it is.
It's at the board of
administrative.
trustees level at this time.
Okay, so we can take that off of here then, correct? Because it's not an administrative review. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Any other reports or correspondence? Okay, well, Larry is up next. Do we, no other reports?
Receive the reports.
We need a motion to receive and file reports.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, reports are received and filed. Under new business, we have Boo Boo's Boneyard first, but I know we're gonna be tabling you
Tabling that.
till next month. Are you pretty clear on, where we're going from here? There'll be another public hearing, and then we will, deliberate the, look at everything.
Yes, we'll have the final plan done for you. by
Yeah,
then.
and you definitely, we cannot approve it without,
That's right.
we can only
To address
approve
the
it
variances.
pending getting those variances.
Yes.
Because the ordinance says 300 feet, so we can't just say, okay, you have to have that variance, so.
Right. And when you're talking about the frontage, is that from the barn to the road, or is that?
It's a
from
road,
the
it's a
house?
road along the road,
Along the front of the road.
yeah.
Got it,
And
okay,
the setbacks on the side are like from your building to the side yard line,
got it,
so,
thank you.
So,
okay.
as a commission, would it be, like, if they're gonna be here next month, would we make a motion contingent upon?
It would have to be contingent on those
On the
obtaining those variances.
Okay.
They stated that there was application done on this before. I don't ever remember this.
Okay, I'm gonna just
having
pick your
another
brain, Beth.
revision.
There was one way back.
For them?
I don't know if it was
It
them,
wasn't
but-
them.
I think they were confusing us with someone.
I think there was one that was
One on
way
board.
back in
I'm
it.
actually, sorry to interrupt, I'm honestly concerned that they are thinking Boo Boo's Boneyard is from this previous
Yeah.
whatever that they're thinking of and
They had-
confusing,
They had
confusing
animals.
what was presented.
It was
versus
a complete,
They had animals on a vacant piece of property back there on Boardman Road, and it got denied.
it got denied. It
That
was, it
was
was,
a lot
the
like
llamas
dog.
were,
There
That
was
was
a lot.
too
Detroit area.
no, there was
welfare.
there was also a one that got rejected. It was a kennel, but
Yes.
that, they had too many. They were trying to do it as a private kennel, and they had too many, and it
Well,
was,
this
Oh,
wasn't
is that
these
for
people.
breeding?
For breeding.
yeah, that was,
Okay,
I think people are mixing the two up, but.
I think so.
because when they said that we sell dogs as well, that's not at all true, so I thought for sure they might be confused. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and when we look at this, I mean, we have to look at the facts, we have to look at the site, I mean,
Right.
we really have to, it's supposed to be based on standards and things like that, so. Okay, sorry, that is your first experience getting thrown in.
No, it was okay, it just, we came here under a different assumption about what was gonna happen, so
For
I was
today.
really
Right.
caught off guard. I was like, I usually know how to formulate a thought, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
that-
this evening. So
it's-
thank you for your
Yeah, public
patience.
speaking is fun, yeah. So,
Like, oh, it's all, they're just gonna like bring it up and January 1st is like when stuff's gonna be talked about. We'll just get a feel for it and then it's like,
yeah,
Well, it's
into the
okay,
frying
it's
pan.
okay.
But it was good, I think that, it was good for people to hear how you run your business, because it sounds like you're doing it the right way. Okay, well then, like I say, did we make the motion? Motion to
Yep,
table?
received and filed. Oh, no, we received and filed.
Okay, so we need a motion to table, Boo Boo's, where are we? Boo Boo's Barnyard to the January meeting.
I'll make that motion to table it till
Sarah.
January 4th.
All right, Steve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Okay, we'll definitely be seeing you next week, or month. Okay, so the text amendments, if I'm correct, I think we're good with shipping container, small scale, and size limitation on garages? Is that,
Where does that go from here?
We can recommend these to the township board, or we could hold off and do all 4 if you want to.
I would like to do the 3 of them as, like a consent. Do all 3 of them, make a motion unless anyone has other thoughts, or do them, we can do them individually, but
So, yeah, our action is to recommend to the township board, if we're good with it, and we do have, you've got them in the legal, form that, that the board can adopt them,
Ordinance format.
yeah, the ordinance format, so, and then let's plug in the number of the ordinance,
They are.
yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, so I
So-
would like to move forward, with just making the motion for the commission to vote on what to do with each specific.
Did you want to lump all 3, recommend to the township board?
I would, we've been talking about these for a couple of years.
Okay, so your motion is to recommend shipping containers, small scale entertainment, and size limitation attached garages to the township board?
That is my motion, yes.
Sarah,
I'll second that motion.
okay, Maureen, all right, discussion? Is everybody good on those 3?
Where did, the equal garage to the size of the house?
You should see when we started, it was
What?
it was
Oh my
like
gosh.
half the size
That's
of,
a good one.
and we
Yeah,
had
it
a,
started with, you could put a matchbox.
So it went from
But-
unlimited garage attached to
Right.
half.
the background was, someone wanted to put a crazy
20 car garage.
10, 20 car garage on his house, it would've looked like a mini storage
Yeah, I
building.
see it going down the barn dominium path.
Yeah,
Right,
so, yeah, you can still do a detached building.
Well, a
but-
barn dominium is actually attached.
Yeah, but this is attached, so we just thought,
Attached,
you know, there's nothing in the ordinance, we had to, it seemed like a good starting
Prohibit
point.
barndominiums, as far as I understand.
It does not.
You comfortable with that? Do you have a 20-car garage in your future?
Oh, no, from this stuff, at this point, let it go to the board and
Okay.
there'll be a public hearing for that with them.
It'll be at their meeting, the board doesn't have do they have a public hearing as well?
No.
Yeah,
No.
they just, right, it'll be on the agenda and they'll discuss it and either approve it or kick it back to us if they don't like it, which
Right.
would happen with,
Well,
okay.
the entrance is in your garage.
No,
I'm
no,
just kidding
no.
with you.
I wouldn't have it there due to, fire. If something's gonna burn down, I don't want my house to go with it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Good answer. Any other discussion on the motion? To recommend the first 3 to the township board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so zoning districts, yeah, I think we should have the final draft before that goes to the board. So we want to just table that for
Table until a
Clean
clean copy.
copy.
Mhm.
January.
all right, so we have a motion to table.
Second.
Okay, so I guess I made that and Joe seconded that. All in fa-
Table? Oh my goodness.
Any, yeah, we're tabling the table.
Okay,
Any discussion?
that was a good idea.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that brings us to unfinished business, which is, that's you, Larry. Larry's automotive parking lot.
So are we all set then until next time?
Yes.
Unless you want to listen to Larry's
We love
plight.
We really do, but we have to let the dogs out.
Yeah. That was nice meeting you, and we'll see you next month. Okay, take care.
Listen to yours.
Okay, Larry, so last month, we kind of just went through Laura's review on yours, and did you get all the comments from that?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to just bring us up to speed and?
Yeah, I was given an email, a list of your concerns. The first concern was aggregate the parking lot. We want to talk about that first. Is that been approved, or do you have questions about that? Or is the construction of the parking lot for gravel?
Okay, we did not have a problem with the gravel parking lot.
Gravel.
That one was good.
That was good.
We had no problem. The next one was the encroachment into the required side yards. That one there, we weren't comfortable with the cars being in the side yards without some type of screening.
There's gonna be screening all the way down this side, both sides. The side along the residential side, along North Avenue, and along the south side of the property. The only screening that will not be there is the side that is in the back side of the property.
Doesn't face anything.
There's nothing behind me to not, that would not be nothing.
And what type of screening?
That's why I'm here to talk about it. I'm not, chain link fence with slats, or a wood fence. I did some work as far as the plastic fence and the longevity of it. I've been told it's not, and it discoloring, something happens to one of the fences, I go to replace it, it's not the right color, I can't paint it, I can't. So, that's why I would not, I would rather go with a wood fence or the chain link with, privacy slats.
Okay. So,
Or, excuse me, or,
Okay.
A pole barn style with steel, 4x4s, purlin, 6-foot steel colored, earth tones, so that if something was to happen with a piece of steel, I can just unscrew it, screw it back on, and I'm done. It's not, it's a little, it looks a little, I believe it looks better than a chain link fence with slats in it. More professional, and it's a little bit easier to maintain. I can unscrew a sheet, something happens, screw another sheet on. It doesn't discolor as much as the plastic does, and I can paint it if I have to paint something, paint the whole thing.
okay. Laura, does that propose any issues using the metal? Is that, I mean, our fence is kind of, dictates commonly used material. I don't know if it mentions the metal or not.
Well, I think the metal would be appropriate to the north and the south. If it's gonna project into the front yard, into the front,
The road furnish?
yeah,
So
setback.
The road frontage will have the metal and the green belt. So the metal will be behind the green belt. So you can see the green belt, then the metal. Hopefully in time you won't even see the metal because the green belt will overcome the fence itself. That's the goal.
A lot of yards will use that due to people trying to cut into the wire fence. So, the yards like to use that pole barn screening type metal.
Mhm.
And in the frontage, I see a lot of times that they, like Larry says, that they do the green belt with the landscape and all that.
So you put the good side out towards the neighbors, but that, obviously the screws are on that side too.
Oh, the screws are the same colors.
Yeah, I'm saying, as far as security though, I mean, somebody can unscrew your fence and
Yeah.
pull it back.
I'm not doing it for security because actually
It's
they
more-
run all the way around the back. They
Right.
try to get in, go through the creek and climb up the bank. If they want to steal, get in that bed.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm not, we'll drive through.
You're not worried about security, okay.
Yeah, it will be secured, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not doing the pole barn because of security. I'm doing it so it looks good and it lasts long. Wood, I have no good luck with wood either because it deteriorates, it rots.
Right.
It's a pretty big investment, and I want it to last, and I want it to look good.
And what do they typically do with that type of fence? You have a metal cap on the top?
The top has a J channel.
It has a J channel?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, we're kind of going through the review, Laura. I mean, so you're comfortable with the, so right now, he would have to just put this all on his site plan? Because right now, it's just kind of tabled. This is the status of it right now, right?
Yep, to update the plans to reflect, and the planning commission can approve, the 6 foot in height in the front yard of a material that you find appropriate.
Did you say can or cannot?
You can.
I can,
Mhm.
okay,
With site plan approval by you.
okay. But we definitely want to make sure we get the landscaping in front of that too.
Mhm.
The site plan would reflect that fence and the style of fence and what it would be constructed of, along with the green belt in the front.
That was our only concern was the screening, correct?
The
Well,
setbacks.
Yeah, there was
setback.
also the setback.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, this setback was too small in front.
Yeah, it's 15 feet today and 25 is required.
Right.
But it's already 15?
Well, that's what was proposed, was,
Was it, what exists?
there was nothing there, so there's nothing is existing at this point. Yes, your site plan only shows 15 feet.
As far as the 25 feet, could the 25 feet have the green belt in it? So
Yeah.
would it be, so what I'm saying is I wouldn't lose that much property. So the fence would be at the 25-foot setback, the green belt would be in front of it. I would be okay with the 25 foot on the North Avenue side. As far as the north side, I'm losing way too much property.
Right, you're not, yeah, there's no green belt required on that. You can just go with the fence along the northern property line, correct?
If the commission determines that the fence properly screens to the north, yes, which I think you have just agreed upon.
Okay. So what's required right now is to make sure that the front setback is 25 feet and that we have proper fencing on those three sides for screening the neighbors and the street view and the southern exposure, correct? Those are our issues.
Yes, but you would lose 10 feet of the gravel right now, as it's proposed, because the setback starts from the property line.
So the parking spots along North Avenue will have to move back 10 feet, and
Would
the
have to
green,
shift west, yeah.
the green, it can be all green belt, 10 more feet of green belt. But then there's a fence there too,
Within the green belt.
within the green belt?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll just be inside.
So
So this goes back 10 feet.
to clarify, the fence has to be set back 25 feet.
Is that, that's zoning qualifications, so I understand that,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yep.
Where is that?
So along North
Okay,
Avenue,
so along here, this is
No,
where
where's
back
the
10
12
feet,
feet?
and then this green belt would, the fence would be right here, am I?
parking may be permitted within the front yard. The green belt shall be provided in the first 25 feet of the front. You need 25 feet, so you cannot park in the 25 feet. So you push the fence back 10 feet, and then you can start parking, and you've got the green belt in front of the
Right.
fence.
So that just comes, that's this
So-
right here.
So what's required now is a revised site plan, correct?
Yeah, and I think that's only gonna result in the loss of one space at the very north side, the very north corner, once that infringes
Yeah, that
10
one.
feet there.
Okay,
So, I mean, you'll have a little less maneuvering room in there, but you're only gonna lose
That's
one spot.
I can do the 25, just as long as the green belt can be in the 25.
Yeah, so
Yes, yep.
basically losing
He's just losing the first spot right there because it's pushed.
and this,
Mm-hmm. Cause they're 10 by 20.
so it's like 300 feet.
So, Laura, your recommendation would be to
You don't have a choice.
have them submit the corrected site plan, and then we'd be able to approve this
Mhm.
as a gravel lot with the, what the fencing is going to be and the green belt. I think that was,
And the 10, the extra 10 feet.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
setback
Yeah,
at
and there were,
25 feet.
there were a couple just like inconsistencies with the labels that need to be, adjusted.
Okay, and that's,
That's in the report. Like it says there's no landscaping proposed, but, there clearly is, so just need to clean it up.
If I recall correctly, and I'm familiar with that spot, I put a political sign on it. There's a fairly deep ditch there, yes?
In the front,
The green,
yes, sir.
the green fence will be on your side.
Yes, sir, yeah,
Okay, so how much of that ditch takes up to 25?
that's a good question.
It should be a lot.
I believe it does, that's why I'm not really, I'm about the 25, but I don't feel that.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know where
gonna
the
lose that
right of
much.
ways is.
Exactly, it was surveyed, I gotta talk to Don King and ask him where the actual property line, which I can work that out. He revised the site plan accordingly.
so right now you're still under option to buy this depending on how this,
Yes.
okay.
have other options, but we're still pursuing this,
Okay,
depending on how it comes out.
okay, so you're pretty clear, you need the 25-foot setback and the,
I can do the 25.
okay, and then the clear up the, some of the labeling she was talking about in the fencing, what you're gonna go with the fencing there.
Do you want the, landscaping on the south side of the drive as well in front of the fence there?
At 29 feet,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you'd have to be consistent.
it calls, does the ordinance call for,
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
okay. You know, a little bit more landscaping on the south side of the,
Yes, we can do that.
okay. So at this time, Laura, we would just table this for the,
Can we approve it on contingent of the changes?
Yeah,
I don't see why we can't approve it.
I
You
agree.
can just bring back a plan.
Yeah, it's contingent on, so if he doesn't come back with, or he comes back and says, forget it, then it goes away, but,
sounds like you're approving an
I
administrative.
think we should just approve it, and he can bring the plans in on contingent. Approve it on the contingency.
Okay, so Laura, if it's approved on contingency, so the new plan would come in and then Chris would look it over, and if she has any questions, review, or you would re-review it to make sure that it meets the landscaping standards, and how would that?
I mean, we approved the 3 fences that he was wanting to do, and just, he has to decide what kind of fence he has. He has to change the 10 feet on the front, and he has to put some trees on the south side. This is a cut and dry case here. I
Okay.
think we should just approve it, he can make the changes later. Now he doesn't have to come in front of us no more.
Okay, your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it sounded like I heard a
thank you,
motion.
everyone, so we don't keep this man waiting for 2 years.
How tall is the proposed fence?
6.
You have some semi-parking spaces there.
Yes.
You won't be able to hide the tractor, the cabs of those.
It's more in the back, the land goes downhill.
And it does go downhill.
This is all gonna be gravel, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I heard
So they're not gonna be,
a motion to approve site plan contingent on
but you have to show it.
basically revised site plan showing,
Yeah, the extra 10 feet. the
revised,
green belt.
okay, so revised site plan. Oh, wait, so we're approving site plan, okay. We're actually approving contingent on a revised site plan showing 25-foot front setback,
Landscaping on the south side.
additional
Landscaping.
landscaping south of drive.
And type of fence.
And the type of fence.
Are we okay with the pole barn fence? The steel fence?
Yes.
I don't wanna call it pole barn fence, steel fence.
Metal fence.
With the flame colors.
And so then we need what,
You'd have to bring in.
description of the fencing?
Yes,
Like a
you'd have
cut
to
sheet, yeah.
bring in a detailed drawing of it
Yes,
from the
that will be
manufacturer,
where- Yes.
like a 29 gauge, whatever, ripple, yeah.
Okay, here's what I think I heard. I've got motion to approve contingent on a revised site plan showing a 25-foot front yard setback, additional landscaping south of the drive, and description of the screening fence.
Right, on the north side.
6-foot metal,
Pardon?
a description of the 6-foot metal fence
Do we have to put the 6 foot in
in
there,
earth
right?
tone, mhm.
Do we have to say that
Yeah.
we're allowing the 6 foot in the front yard? So we're gonna approve the site plan contingent, okay. A description of the screening, but the screening, it's not just the front, it's all the way, it's on 3 sides that we're,
Mhm.
so we're just gonna put 6-foot screening fence? Description of the 6-foot screening fence, saying that,
Metal.
Metal or steel?
In neutral colors.
okay, but if he changes his mind at the last minute, puts wood, we're still fine with it. Okay, we'll put metal. Is that correct?
Yeah, he had his 3 choices, so it's not surprising. We agreed to all of them.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, do I wanna just put one in there? Sounds like,
I
that's why I
say
put the,
6-foot
Okay,
fencing on
I
3
see.
sides in earth tone.
that's why I put a description of the
Just in
6-foot
case.
screen, fence screenings, so that we know it's supposed to be a screen, it's not gonna just be a chain link.
So Laura's gonna look at this, so she can decipher that?
You could say something like, subject to approval by the planner and chair, if you wanted to review it as well. Sometimes commissions do that. Give it a look over.
You want the planner to look it over?
Didn't she already?
Well, she's not the revised one. All right, so,
Or may I be so rude?
Can we stop you?
Maybe contingent upon the
The
three
same
choices set forth, it's up to him to decide. Something on those lines.
We talked about
I
three fences.
understand that, but it's still, if
Yeah, we
he
gotta-
changes his
we
mind.
gotta put it in
he's
the
got
motion.
option.
DJ was leaving it out.
that's what, I was leaving the metal out, just so that
Yeah,
he could have an
just-
option.
If
Is
he
that,
switches gears and, decides to switch what he wants,
So I'm-
then it's
so
not
am I adding subject to planner approval?
No, planner was here and already reviewed it. Why
But-
slow it down?
Well, I'm just saying that,
She's gotta review. the
now,
new-
now you're,
new
you're
site
putting,
plans.
you're putting this all on Chris to go read a plan and go through all the details and make sure it's correct. I think that, I wouldn't wanna,
Okay.
I mean, it's, Laura, it's not, I mean,
Subject-
you've seen it, so I
subject to
mean, you're just gonna
cheer
kinda
reading.
double check it, right?
We're
It's not-
talking
it's not a
about
big-
He's not gonna
fence
send,
here.
or mail me a thing and
We're
everything.
not talking about a
We're
building.
not doing another
I mean,
review.
I'll look at it too.
No, fences,
You know what?
fences make
Make
good
good
neighbors.
neighbors.
Oh,
Good fences.
Depends
Good
on-
fences, they
okay,
stand corrected.
Could we just have a point of clarification on the
What fence are
fencing
you
though?
going with, Larry?
okay, clarification on the fencing.
Please tell us.
Is it acceptable to the commission to have chain link with slats? Cause that isn't a type of fencing that I would recommend as a viable option.
It's not,
I would not recommend it. It's not as durable.
It's not,
Durable.
yes.
okay. So you're comfortable with the wood or metal?
That would be my recommendation.
All right.
All right,
Okay, so
thank
Then
you,
it's a
Larry.
no-brainer.
you definitely wanna go with metal, you're saying? Okay, wood or metal, okay. We'll put wood or metal, okay. Okay, so, I've got a motion to approve contingent on a revised site plan being submitted showing 25-foot front yard setback, additional landscaping south of the driveway, and description of the 6-foot screening fence, either wood or metal, subject to planner approval.
Is that your motion, or
That's
you
my
want a motion
motion.
for that?
I think somebody,
Randy's
I think,
motion?
I think, it's-
I'll support that.
okay, so, any just,
Yeah, Maureen
Oh,
already
you
Oh, you-
did?
Yes.
all right,
Oh,
Maureen.
I'm sorry.
Maureen, okay,
No, Joe or Maureen or whoever.
I got Randy and Maureen.
Randy,
Um, Are
Okay.
you comfortable with this
Family
motion, Laura?
friendly.
It covers the bases?
That's good.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on the motion? So, Larry, you're clear on the motion, what you got there? Okay. So, all in favor of the motion to approve the site plan contingent on presenting a revised site plan showing a 25-foot setback, additional landscaping south of the drive, and description of the 6-foot screening fence, either wood or metal, subject to the planner approval, say aye. Aye. All opposed? There you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, we have one more thing.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Larry. All right. I got more paper than I expected, and I lost my agenda. There we go, I found it.
When does the ZBA meet? Like once a quarter, or they have to call?
as needed.
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna,
don't meet.
I'm gonna call Kate tomorrow and go through that with her.
Yeah, I don't know who's on the ZBA anymore.
Gail, DJ, we've got a new
Diane.
gentleman,
Who's on the building?
Diane and Jim Mogul. And I don't know if
Who's the liaison?
I don't know if it's gonna be Jim or Monica.
Yeah,
I
Jim
think-
filled in, but
He
yeah.
filled
probably
in,
Jim,
yeah.
okay.
This is
Mass,
all we have left.
oh no, master plan discussion. How long is this
But
gonna take, Laura?
I'd like to, change the timeline, because I think 30% on January 4th is too much. Because it's, we're supposed to do all the homework before that, by January 4th, that's the holidays, and might be out of town, I might be out of town.
Okay, we're looking for the timeline that Laura presented us for the master plan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I wanna go less than
Okay, you wanna
30% for
share?
the first meeting.
Jeez,
Should be
I had it.
almost to the back.
Well, for the first meeting,
I
I'd like
got
to
it
have
right
a lot of
Okay.
I share.
information, you know, like from the county regarding water and sewer
Scattered.
lines and all of that. For, you know what I mean, so we can go into it and start discussion.
The master plan update review. So we're gonna review 30% on this on January 4th. Then we'll have 50% done by February 1st, and March 1st we'll have 90% done, and then by April 5th we'll have it all done. I just think that on January 4th, we're not gonna be able to get 30% done.
It is
This is
in,
the
Laura's doing all
background,
the work.
the work you gotta do over the holidays, I don't think it'll get done.
what's in parentheses?
Well, Laura, what this, I mean, this is what we're shooting for, but it's not necessarily gonna follow this strictly, or maybe you should just kind of explain what the usual plan is for.
Okay, thanks. So I agree. I think the kickoff here, where we're at on December 7th, this should really get moved to January 4th. I've got some things for you guys to think about over the holiday.
Move it all up.
But the way that the project billing is gonna go for this also didn't start until this month. So like now we're starting to do the work. So that will then take us through the next 8 months. There are a couple things though that I wanted to chat with you guys about. The first is we started updating all the maps in the master plan based on the annexation. And the one I brought for you guys tonight is the zoning map. So this is updated with the annexation, but it also includes the rezoning to the B1 district on Armada Center Road with the, the B2 district for the car wash facility that was done. So that is on there. And then the rezoning for Larry's, since that has taken effect, that is also shown on there. And then Kraus's vet was rezoned to the B2, so that's on there. So those have all been updated. One of the things that maybe it was those 3 parcels that changed. Oh, no, so when we got the latest data from Macomb, on Ridge Street, as you leave, or as you enter the village, the parcel on the south, they had this as part of the township.
It is, it's the park, or it was projected to be a park next to the nursing home.
When did that change?
That's when it was purchased, how many years ago?
Well,
Where
which parcel are you referring to, though?
On the north side?
The property next to the nursing home,
Right.
right?
To the
Yeah.
south.
That's
But
the
on-
park, that's not the park, though.
Not, but that was
The
the
park is
township owned it,
odd-shaped.
and that was in
This
that
one.
was in the.
Oh, wait, you're,
The grand
she's on the
plan.
east side of the township, of
Yeah.
the village.
Oh,
Yeah.
so by, Omo.
Because even your current zoning map doesn't have that parcel
You're seeing this
included.
big chunk that's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
east of the village.
Yeah, I
Color?
didn't realize that,
Isn't that the fairground?
that was acquired by the township from the village?
Okay, I was talking as you're coming in, Ridge, this
Yeah,
way,
it's
you're
on the-
talking on the
sorry.
other side.
Yeah,
so-
as you're going
And I
east.
couldn't
I
tell
know
you if
you
it's
meant
northeast, south, or west, because when I get onto Armada Ridge,
It's-
I'm headed north,
This,
and
this was,
by the time I get into
this
town,
was,
I'm on
this
my
was
way.
shown as
Yeah.
being part of the village,
That's
and
St.
now
Mary's.
it's part of the township.
That's St.
Mm-hmm,
Mary's, though.
according to Macomb County.
What is that, what is that parcel? That is,
It's the church, I
It's
think.
the church. Is
Church.
is that a standalone or,
oh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
did the
Margaret-
church get
The
annexed
church,
in?
Yeah, the church
the
was
village.
in Armada Township. They got water and sewer there, so they got annexed into the village.
So they should be in the
Okay.
village.
yeah, but it's marked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different parcels
That was like 6 years ago, 8 years ago or something like that.
on there.
Macomb says it's part of the township still.
It's
So
not-
that they
Well, they
don't
might
have it,
not update it.
they
yet.
might not be updated then.
Well, but, I mean,
Don't they
that seems really odd, because they
Yeah.
had the right
if-
annexation for Romeo and all the other parcel line adjustments.
They
So
probably didn't
maybe
do
that was
nothing.
never filed.
They probably
That
didn't do
could be.
nothing because the church doesn't pay any kind of tax.
That's right.
That's why it's,
That's why they,
Anyway.
they don't want it.
Yeah,
So, but I think it is with the village
get no
that
money out
if
of 'em.
you do, use their services, then it, in their ordinances, I believe that is an annexation parcel then. I believe. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Okay. Well, that's a little
actually, it
mystery.
looks like it's
Maybe.
on the north side of Ridge.
No, it's, the
south.
church is on the south for sure.
I know, but this coloring,
no, that's the,
the coloring
That's
is
the-
on the north side of the, see Ridge Street?
This is,
the orange?
it's a parcel right here,
Well, there's a church on the north side.
on the south side
Yeah,
that
that's the church.
it's shown as,
Oh, the bigger one
that
that's
big,
not colored?
big chunk that should be the church.
You pointed to the,
Just Ridge
tan
Street,
color.
or is it still Armada Ridge?
That's a church.
yeah,
And
but he
that's
had
the
pointed-
rubber place.
Okay, that's why I'm like, there's,
Why would it say, I mean,
Well-
technicality, it says Ridge Street, isn't it Armada Ridge still? Like, as it says Armada Ridge
Mhm.
Road, why would it change into to Ridge Street, not
that in-
Armada
In
Ridge?
Richmond, it's.
So it's not Ridge Road.
Armada Ridge too.
yeah,
Okay.
maybe because of the village.
You can change on that.
Oh, well, we know where we're at anyway.
So that would have to be, should be corrected, right?
Yeah.
You're saying it it changes when it hits the Richmond Township?
It's
But
Armada
it's
Ridge
still
or
in
Richmond
Armada,
Township,
so
right?
it shouldn't,
I'll go by there tomorrow. and I'll tell you.
Go down there now and come back.
Okay, so
It's
we'll
on the
look
way
at
to
the
work.
street naming there for sure, but it sounds like maybe we need to have a conversation with the village and the county about whose
Yes.
property this is.
I don't
Or
think
the
anybody's gonna fight
assessor.
too hard for it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that would be good. Alright, so we'll get that cleaned up, but then at least you'll have a new zoning map with the annexation, and this will show on all of the, master plan maps. One of the things that we noticed too is that the master plan currently doesn't have an existing land use map. It talks in general about existing land use, but you don't have a specific map that shows what's there today, which is necessary, so that's one of the things we're working on.
isn't that what this is? I'm missing something here.
So there's three super important maps. The first is the zoning, which is what is in front of you today.
Okay.
And that is separate from your master plan and dictates what you can and can't do with the property. Then there's the existing land use and the future land use, and those two are usually together and they go in your master plan, and it shows you where you are today. So regardless of what's planned for the parcel or what it's zoned, what it's used for today. And that, by having that, you can start tracking over time how properties are changing, and that's really important. And that's what your plan is missing today. So we're gonna provide that.
And then, have you spoke with the county regarding like the water and sewer plans? And, I mean, before we start going into our plan and our future plan, we should probably have what their plans are. Or like where, like if Ray Township is gonna do something, we need to speak with them. And and like, is the county or
The
the
county's
state?
not gonna do anything until the community say, yes, we'll give you $50 million to do this.
We have to,
You know.
we do have to submit it to all the surrounding communities, though.
Right, okay, but I mean, information, to get information from the county, or like from the state regarding like the M53, there's always been talk about the extension of the M53 bypass. So that would be important for us to continue with our industrial, because there's that link down 33 to the M53. But is it in their plans, is it in their 10 years, or is it in their 5 years, or 30 years, or can you find that out from the county?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, do we get input, we need to get input from our township board for what their vision is and what they would like to see also, right? I mean, this is be all stuff that I think that we need right from the get-go before we even start looking at this plan, like in January, if we can have this information, or like, does the township plan on opening the tap at 33 and McKay? You know, or if they're not planning now, when do they think, you know, or is it on hold for 30 years, or, you know, stuff like that. I think it's important that we have all that, so when we do update our master plan, we can put that in there.
Does the township board do like a goal setting session every year at the beginning in January? Like
Not that I'm
what they
aware
wanna.
Not that
Not that
I've,
I'm aware
not
of.
since I've been there, so I don't know what happened before.
Yeah, for 17
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
glorious years. And no vision.
That might be,
An issue.
well, that might be a good exercise for them to start thinking about,
Oh, yes,
What about getting the input from the local townships? We can, they submit their master plans also, right? So you're asking about, Ray
surrounding,
townships, so
mhm.
we could get that and as we go through it.
Yeah.
And then, who's the other township? Bruce? Is that
Mhm.
adjacent to us?
Yeah, all the surroundings.
So-
One of the, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead, that's all.
One of the things I was gonna ask, I think everyone has a copy of the master plan, or I hope you do, but, these are just the 4 pages that are related to the current goals and objectives for your master plan, your policies. And if you could, over the holidays, spend, some time
17.
reading through these and seeing if you think that maybe there's some that aren't as applicable anymore or just not relevant. They're really from 2014.
Thank you.
So this,
There's gotta be changes.
yes, and this might be like a good way to see if there's things you wanna prioritize. Or help you think of things that might be missing that you wanna see. It could also be useful for the board to run through. I also wanted to let you know that we've started going through the demographic data and updating that. I don't have, anything to hand out. It's taking much longer than we thought, partially because the data that's in your current plan, we're finding a lot of inconsistencies. There were areas where the village's population was included in some, but then removed in others, or some of the numbers just aren't even adding up. Or we're taking a look back at the 2010 and the numbers are different. So we're fact checking all of that to make sure that the comparisons for the historical trends and stuff are accurate, but it's taken longer than we anticipated, that's for sure. So, I was hoping to be able to bring that and like pass it out tonight for you guys, to look over the holidays, but it's gonna have to be in your January packets.
Okay.
But that will also help inform kind of the direction of the plan.
Is it substantial changes?
Don't answer.
I like that, new plan, new year.
Leave it open.
Start again.
Leave it open.
Well, it's hard to compare, like accurately compare apples to apples if the data isn't
keeps
even correct
changing and, yeah.
in the past, you know, so.
Right.
Trying to get it
Spoken like
right.
an attorney.
Thank you.
that's where we are. If, the commission has any thoughts about the master plan, and the objectives or goals, that come to you over the holidays, please feel free to email. I'll be working on this.
Do you see any value in the 2020 review? No.
No, not much.
You can figure honesty.
That was done by somebody else. Okay, so we got some homework for the holidays.
Yes, please.
Okay. Any questions on the master plan discussion?
The last update was, what again, 16?
This master plan is,
That was 14.
14, like it was done, and
it was done in
15 adopted.
January of 2015. And so in 5 years from there, we did with our last planner, we just did a review and, just kind of looked at it to see if we thought it hadn't significantly changed. And then there are recommendations that we might want to do a more focused study on lakes and agribusiness in general and the stretch of road along there and look at our industrial district. I mean, it was basically kind of like, yeah, everything's still good, but we did spend some time looking at it as, required, so, now we're gonna do the real deep dive. Okay, so, do you need a motion to move on, or just
We're good.
table to? All right, we'll be looking at that again in January.
So we moved all these dates down a bit, right, from the timeline you created?
I'm gonna
And
adjust
that-
it.
So you're gonna redo that thing?
Feeling stressed, huh?
Yeah, too much.
Still got a shot. Under planning commission projects, we are looking at the administrative review application process, and it looks like we have a revised application as well as potential fee schedule, which of course the board is the one that has to approve that. But did you want to go over that, Laura?
Or do you want me to go over
Yeah,
that?
this is great work.
So, I revised the site plan application, adding a box for the site plan administrative review at the top. I had put 12 based on the discussion last month about, do we really need 16 copies? I lowered that to 12, but then found out that Laura wants a second copy of everything sent to her. So I'm gonna change that to 13. And I'm also going to start asking for an electronic copy of the site plan.
That would be nice.
It's something that Spalding DeDecker is asking for, and I'll be able to load it into the new program that we've got on the computer now. I also updated, it originally said submit to the township by 4 p.m. noon, so I fixed that to make it noon. Oh, come on, you couldn't handle 4 p.m. noon? So those are all the changes that I've got here. However, I'm also going to start adding an email address to this, because we're doing so much by email, and I realized the other day I had to call somebody to get their email so that we could exchange documents, so. But that's what I'm gonna do with the application itself. And then, based on the discussion last week, I updated the fee schedule. I found some addition errors and inconsistencies. And I added the site plan administrative review, where Laura had said McKenna would charge half the cost of a regular review based on type, because you've got 650 here, you've got 600 there, so I couldn't say a specific number. And then under administration, that number, I was looking at it today and I'm like, where did I come up with that? But it would be, if we had to hold a special meeting for a site plan review, we would need to pay the 2 commission members. If we needed Mel's input, his fee, and then, my fee, what I get paid for a special meeting. So I don't think 534 is correct. I've gotta go back and add it up. Hold on a minute. It would be a minimum of 306. If it's done at a special meeting. But what my question would be is why wouldn't we do a administrative site plan at a regular meeting? Unless the applicant said, you know, I need this immediately, I need it in a special meeting. If we did the administrative site plan at a regular meeting as just a regular agenda item, there wouldn't be that extra fee, because it would already be covered. Laura's fee would still apply if she needed to look at something prior to the meeting.
So if you did it that way, though, it would basically be 5 members would be kind of sitting out, and just the 2 members would be, and just the committee would be.
But
I don't-
haven't you always had an administrative review of some sort in the past?
No.
No, we've been
No?
arguing about it for a couple years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
I mean, there's some things that can be done administratively, like you can do, and it's like, okay, this is good, but, you know, we've never, this official administrative review thing has never been, really happened.
And typically it's
Okay, I'm just
after-
asking questions.
Yeah, and typically it's after we've met with them, and if there's something incidental that they have to do, is my understanding.
That
And
was,
defining incidental was the
Correct.
crux of the fight.
the intention, I think, right from the beginning, for the administrative review was, the planning commission, you know, approves the site plan, and before the next meeting, something has to be changed, and they need an answer before the next meeting. So it was an active site plan, and it was just to help the people out that needed this change before the next meeting. So that was the intention, the original intention of the administrative review. Things obviously are changing, now,
They're moving faster.
well,
We wanna get things done faster.
well, but now we're looking at site plans from 10 years ago for an administrative review, and that wasn't the intention to begin with. That's
No.
something that we have to figure out, if that's what we really wanna do, if we wanna keep it as only as an active site plan that's gotta be done in, you know,
That's
in
not
that
in the
year.
language? Good
There's
point.
no guidelines, and that's why I brought that to the attention, that we needed guidelines, like.
But I thought there were guidelines that were sent back from the township board.
I never got any.
No.
I had made up a list of different ideas for guidelines, you know, like, or questions, you know, like, do we wanna accept something that is handwritten on the old site plan, and it's not updated and stamped, or things like that. 10 years ago, something that old, and that, originally, that was not what the intention was of the administrative review.
No, it's too old.
I think
I
it
don't,
is.
I
How
don't
do
even
we define
remember
that?
ever drafting that ordinance, to tell you the truth.
But the rest of the chart looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
And I know the original one, all of the verbiage at the bottom was on a second page.
Mhm.
And as a user, let's say,
Yeah.
I go in and I look at a fee schedule, I'm looking at my line item. If there's something on a second page, I might miss that. So I wanted it all on one page. I did consolidate where I could, but there wasn't much I could consolidate based on different fees and whatnot. You know, I just, frankly, I updated where there were addition errors or things that needed to be spelled out, this plus that. Um, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just made it user-friendly, like you said, so you're not missing anything if you're going in to look at something. Something else is tagged on the second page, but you don't see it.
but with the exception of correcting the 584 back to 306, which would be the minimum that they would pay based on when the meeting was held. Are you okay with sending this to the board for approval?
Can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Am I allowed to make a motion? I don't know if I can.
You're not.
I didn't think so.
Well, I could motion that we send this to the board contingent upon the
change in
change in the site plan administrative review, which we're never gonna resolve.
No, I mean, it's,
Should we leave that out?
Need it if it was done, if you met. I mean, how you guys were going months without meeting.
We're not doing that anymore.
And that was another reason why that administrative review.
So we can omit the administrative review row there and submit it to the board?
But the
Is that what
board
we wanna
said
do?
you have to do it.
Oh, the board said we have to do it.
So you gotta have it on the fee
it's,
schedule.
yeah, it's in the ordinance.
We better
It's
have
in
it
the
on
ordinance.
All right.
We have to have what? The administrative review? Yes, it's in the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance.
So we wanna charge people for it, so that we're
So
changing
you
the
have
price
to
to
have-
306?
Yeah.
For
A minimum
a
of
minimum,
306.
Minimum.
306, starts at
Because
306.
it's still,
okay.
with an administrative review, it can still have to go to engineering if there's questions or
If
anything.
needed,
like
If it's
that.
needed,
Everything
yeah.
adds up.
Right.
All right, so it starts at 306, and you make that
shouldn't-
clear.
It shouldn't have to go to engineering because it should be minor.
Right.
Right.
And that's why there's no if needed under the engineer.
306 is a funny number. How did we come up with that?
It's actually, you guys get paid, what, 77 change
Oh, it is a-
paid?
per
it's a
meeting?
weird number.
So I rounded that up to $78 for 2 individuals, plus 75 for the building inspector, and 75 is what I get paid for a meeting, so.
Okay, that's why you came up with
And
that.
then,
Yes.
and then the planner though,
And, well, it's a
It's
minimum
on
of
there.
306. I can't say how much the planner's gonna be.
correct,
So it's the
yeah.
306 for the administration plus the planner?
Correct.
Okay.
And I can reword it like that,
You can be clear
minimum
how
306 plus,
Minimum starts at 306.
She get paid $75 too?
I do.
Well, I mean, as far as this fee schedule, I mean, this isn't really the planning commission. I mean, you kind of work on that between
That's
Laura,
true.
you, Laura, and the
Lord.
board, right? I mean, it's
Okay.
not a,
It's not something we
it's
have
not,
to
I don't think it's
approve.
really a,
Okay.
we never really approve
The
We do
fees,
not.
fee schedules.
no. Would we wanna recommend this schedule to the board, or just?
No,
we
I
can
would,
take it
I
to the
don't
board?
think, we never have, so I wouldn't,
Okay.
I don't think we
let's
should.
Okay.
go.
I retract
It's
my.
second hers.
It's pretty much up to the board and the administrator and, you know, what the planner's charging and the professionals, so.
Okay.
As far as, so basically this is just the same thing, we just added the site plan administrative review line on there. It would still have the same checklist that any site plan review
Doesn't
Right
make
there
it
for ya.
would have.
Explain me.
Good.
Yeah, I think. I mean, a checklist for those things that would apply to what they're doing.
Don't mind if you can't understand this, because we don't know what we're doing.
No, you're gonna be quizzed after the meeting.
Administrative review's kind of
We-
long discussion.
We just have this administrative review authority
It's just,
that,
it's a closed door
that-
thing, 4 or 5 people get together.
it's
they
not
make
supposed,
sure
yeah, but
that
it's
not
there's no.
No, it has to be an
Has to be
open
open.
meeting.
Not
has to be an open meeting.
That's the
Yeah.
point of the
Oh,
charging,
okay.
charges. It
Yeah.
has to be an
Alright.
open meeting.
All right.
I think when this was created, it was meant like there would be minor things that came up as like, you know, the administrator would call me and the planner and say, they're proposing that they change the evergreens to,
The
So
applicant
pines
to
or
be
something.
Present also,
they would just say what they wanted to do, and then they'd
Okay.
submit it to the administrator, and then we'd put our heads together and go, oh, okay, that's fine, that's either better than it was, or, you know, that's adequate. And then, we would just sign off on
potentially
it.
could save a regular commission meeting, save time during the regular monthly
It
meetings
saves
too.
time for the applicant usually if they have a deadline to get stuff in.
We weren't aware that this was supposed to be an open meeting, because we thought it was just a minor thing, and then it came out that it's supposed to be an open meeting, and that changed the whole, you know, but we'd never really used this thing, so, and now
That's what you're
it's
supposed to
gotten
do,
an-
that's what you're supposed to do.
it's turned into a kind of
After the public hearing, if we make changes.
So does that kind of sum up the quagmire? Okay, so what we're supposed to be discussing is this review application process. So we've cleaned up the application, but this is, what action do we really need here? I mean, we were supposed to be coming up with some kind of guidelines, but that's what you were kind of recommending, Laura, that we just hold it as an open meeting, like any other meeting with the 4 people that need to be here. And
But-
we got fees and. just
Guideline wise also was how long, you know, how old can the site plan be? Guideline,
Yeah, we
you
don't have
know,
anything like that.
like who is eligible or, you know, who's eligible to have this administrative review? A 10-year site plan, a 5-year, a 3-month, an active site plan?
Should be an
I
active.
think it was
site plan.
active.
It just says, it says existing, it
But,
doesn't say
but
active.
why, we have site plans on file
Mhm.
supposedly since the beginning of time. I know
Correct.
that's not true, but we've got site plans here
Mhm.
that we require people to submit, you approve them. They want to make a minor change to that site plan, or that is 5 years old. They wanna add a shed to their property. You want to make them have to go to an engineer, recreate or update if their engineer is still available, and update that plan, pay all of that money to add a shed to their site.
Well,
And I don't think shed's even a valid one
No,
for this
it's not.
administrative review. I don't remember what all was in there that they said it could be.
But meantime, in that 5 years, was a gas line put in? Or was a water line put in? Or, you know, did they have a septic? If they didn't have a sewer, did their septic have to be redone? Did it get moved? Did they have to have a new well put in? Did their well go dry? There's so many things like that need to be checked. You know, did the county take more right away? You know, all of that.
The perfect example is Armada Rubber. Armada Rubber, in the last 20 years that I've been here, has been here about 4 different times.
Okay.
And they had 4 different site plans because they added on, or they did this, or they did that. And what that does is it gives us a chance, when they do the site plan, like our old planner would do, he would say, you know, seeing you doing the site plan, we want some new trees in the front to hide your stuff or whatever. So now we got a board to actually be able to look at this as a full board, to look at the complete site plan again. Instead of a couple people saying, okay, you can put that building up there, or you can add on to this building, make a lean-to or whatever. But that should all come in front of the board, not just 2 people.
Can I just say something? This happened years ago. Atkins got approved. They had a site plan, special land use. They added on and added on and added on and did very little of what was on the site plan that got approved. So then the neighbor came in and started complaining about it and had access to the site plan, it's public record. Okay, the township didn't abide by this, that's out of what was approved, this is out, this is out, this is out. It has been a neighborly dispute for 20 years. And that's what happens, it should not be 1 or 2 people doing this. And now it's back with the fence issue for an administrative review. That is, you guys are opening it up for a major lawsuit. Do not do it. If they're a business, come in and do it right. And it should not be administrative review, because then it's, you can do that, you can't. And that's where a lot of conflict comes in.
Well, there's only a few things that are on administrative review, and that's landscaping, building facade, fences in a non-residential development, and that's in conflict with another part of our ordinance where it says that all fences in non-residential have to be reviewed by the planning commission, so that's kind of the issue with that one.
I mean, look what we
And
just
then,
did with-
sidewalks,
Yeah.
dumpsters, heating and cooling, and temporary buildings. So it's only those 5 things.
It's not an expansion.
Look at what we
Pardon?
just did with Larry with the fence.
What's
It's
that?
the same thing. Look what we just did with Larry. He paid his money, he came in front of us for putting a fence up.
Well, no, it was a lot more than that.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's building a
I'm just
parking
saying.
lot.
You have
It was a lot
vac-
more than just a
You have a
fence.
vacant piece of property that has a fence put around it. That's basically what it was about.
The big issue tonight was the fence.
Yes.
That was the fence.
And the
So-
setback, yeah, the type of the fence and the setback were the big issue.
So reread that again too, DJ. I'm sorry.
No, it's saying the administrative review only can change landscaping, building facade that doesn't create additional square footage, fences within any non-residential development or district, and that conflicts another part of the ordinance.
Okay.
Changes in location of previously approved sidewalks, dumpsters, heating and cooling units and the like, and temporary buildings such as construction trailers and the like. That's all that this administrative review committee can review.
So let me ask you
It's
guys
not that
this.
much.
What's wrong with that?
It's the way, it's just the way it is. I mean, that's, you know, but this fence is a little bit of conflict because there's another part of the ordinance that says all fences in non-residential area have to be reviewed
Oh,
by the
by
planning
planning,
commission.
yeah.
So this,
But it doesn't specify the whole planning commission per se.
it
I- and
does,
I'm-
it does in another
I'm
part of
just
it.
being,
Semantics.
Planning
Okay.
commission is the full board,
No, so,
not just the.
you know, I don't know if we're gonna solve this one, but
Right.
it is in the ordinance, and it says that, you know, that the review committee has the authority to approve these 5 things to an existing site plan. We have not actually done this yet in the meeting, but we were asked to review that fence complaint, and it's kind of a problem, so.
But once again, going back to that, if they're gonna change their site plan, are we gonna accept, oh, here, I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna put this here, and are we gonna accept that on our file?
It's a
I
pencil.
can't, penciled in, is that really acceptable?
Well, see, then there's other things, you know, if things are drawn to scale and properly drawn on there, you know, I know the building inspector will accept that, but our ordinance says it has to be, you know, signed by a,
Hey, DJ, can I ask you guys a question? You guys had a meeting on this Ackett's Pie, right? You and Beth? You never had a meeting?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, nope.
And it's probably a good thing, because I didn't know that was an Open Meetings Act violation, that it would have had to be an open meeting. So it's probably a good thing, because you would have been taken to court by the supervisor. Just saying.
okay, well, we're not gonna resolve, the administrative review, I mean, this is, we got any good way to go with this, Laura?
I mean, it's in your ordinance, it's an option for minor modification. I would say that the same standards that apply to a regular site plan apply, so it's gotta be professionally done. But, I mean, we're talking about based on what your qualifications are, we're talking about like a landscape architect updating the landscape plan, or a surveyor updating a fence. It's not a new building footprint or a building being moved.
Right,
Okay.
so it,
It's
so,
gonna-
So it's already in process, so to discuss it again, all we're talking about is the fee, right?
And we just keep
So
it,
let's
just
just-
keep continuing
No,
the
it-
same crap all the
well,
time.
without,
But we have no final.
yeah, it's up to the board to put this fee in place, because it's in the ordinance and never had a fee, so, but that's not
I'd like to
for
make a
us
motion
to,
that we close the meeting.
that's, well, we still have public comments.
Oh, yeah, we have to do that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Didn't we do that?
no action on this other than, Chris, you're gonna take care of the fees
Getting
with
the
the board.
fee published by the board, yes.
Okay. Any public comments?
No, I'm good.
You already had your comments.
Yeah,
too.
you talked.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 9:27. Maureen, it seems like you said that
I
already.
said that.
I'll
Alright.
second. Amy,
Beth, okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.